All right, folks. Today we are going to do a quick tutorial on the Twin Otter. We are, this is the -300, DHC6-300. We're going to be doing part of one of our virtual airlines tour legs up in Norway, and it's going to be a short flight, but this is mostly a flight tutorial on startup, flight characteristics, and then landing. As we do this, it's a short flight, so we're going to get right into this and start it going. We're going to jump into the Twin Otter itself and take a look around at everything. I have some different views set up, but one of the first things we'll do, we will click off the lock down here. When that lock, you can't do much else on anything, so we're going to do that. And once we get that done, we're going to come up. Now I'm using the Honeycomb Alpha and Bravo, so I do have some of my switches on that. We're going to turn on the external power up here. We are going to turn on the master. Okay. We are also going to flip on the switches of our Honeycomb. Kick on the nav light, which we're going to show you up here is our lighting. We'll hit the no smoking light. We'll hit the fasten seatbelt light. We are going to hit our navigation light, which is right here. Okay. We are going to arm our emergency lighting. We are going to turn our de-icer boots onto auto. And this one's down here. We're going to turn the heater on because we're flying in the Arctic. So we're going to turn that on. And we're also going to turn our air conditioning to auto. Okay, that's our first setup. That's what we're going to do on those. Now, next is quite simple. We're going to do a couple of things. We're going to start our engines. We've already got our flight plan in. Flight plan is all set to go. We're going to be flying at 4,000 feet today. So, in starting our engines, we're going to be using the starter switch right here and paying attention initially to these gauges, but watching as we go. Okay. We're going to start the right engine. We're going to kick it over to the right. We're going to watch down here. Once this gets past about 15%, the red switch is overhead. We're going to add fuel. We did up there. You see it's pushed all the way forward. When that fuel's added, you'll start to see everything coming up. Going to kick our fuel boost pumps on. We'll go ahead and kick the left one on too while we're waiting. So we've got percentage of prop RPM coming up, stabilized. We've got our gas temperatures pretty stabilized, getting there. We've got our torque pressure stabilized. We are going to hit our condition levers for the right engine forward out of feather, and you're going to see prop RPMs come up. They will come up a little bit. Okay, easy peasy. We're going to do the exact same thing for the left prop. So we're going to go up top. We're going to kick our starter over to the left. We're going to watch our gas temperature gauge. Once it hits 15, we're going to flip the other red fuel lever all the way forward, and you'll see it really start to climb. You see, now we got both red levers forward. That click was the ignition switch kicking back to the center, meaning we've got a good ignition. And again, once we're stable in here, we will go ahead with the second condition lever, slide it all the way forward. Okay, we've got both of those forward. We're going to see our prop RPMs come up on this one. Now that we've got two good engine starts, we're going to change back up to our overhead view. We are going to kick on our beacon. We are going to kick on our bleed air, and we are actually going to turn on the generators themselves for the engine so that we can start getting those temps back, or the voltages back up. So we've got those all set to go. That puts us where we need to be on an engine start. Okay. We are going to kick on our pitot heater because it's chilly out here. We are going to kick on our taxi light. Okay. And we're going to come back to our initial view here. Now we need to set our altitude. Okay. We are going to be at 4,000 feet today. We also need to set our barometric pressure, and I just hit the B on the keyboard for that. It sets our altitude on that. Okay, that is all good to go. And the last thing we'll need to do using our navigation system, we're going to click this button over here to go from the localizer to a GPS, just for our flight today. That pretty much puts us where we need to be to take off. Okay, we're going to start our taxi. We're going to release the parking brake down here. Okay. We are going to start rolling out. And we are going to head down the runway. Get our taxi going here. And we'll get down here to the end. We really don't need all of this room to take off, so we're going to do a midfield takeoff here. We are going to turn around and do a midfield takeoff. We really don't need a whole lot of room to take off in this aircraft. All right, so this aircraft has very nice short takeoff and landing capability. So we're going to sit here. We're going to start rocking our throttles forward, and we're going to watch it. We're going to get to right around 40% on our torque pressure on this one. Okay, so we'll watch that start to rise as our throttles come forward. Get them RPMs up. There we go. And we are going to put a little tiny bit of forward pressure on our yoke. And once we hit 80, we can go airborne. Okay. Flaps up because they come up pretty quick in this one. And then there's a unique setting that we're going to do here in a few minutes. We'll turn our navigation on, turn our autopilot on, and we are going to get our vertical speed up to about 1,200 feet per second. And actually, we don't have to go to 4,000 feet. We'll run up to 3,000. And at 3,000 feet here in a second, start to level off. We will go ahead and set our cruising speed stuff set up. Okay, this is pretty interesting. So we're going to want to keep this torque pressure right around 40%, but we're going to want to drop this prop RPM down to about 75%, and we're going to do that with our condition levers. So we're going to watch as we bring those back, and we're going to watch that to get right around 75%. So you'll see as we get down here, we're at 80. We want our prop back at 40, so we'll do that with our throttle. Torque pressure at 40. Prop RPM around 75. And then what that'll get us is a nice little cruising speed of around 150 knots, so that we're not overspeeding or any of that stuff. So we're right at 75% torque there, or prop RPM. We are now at our 40% torque pressure. And we've got a nice cruise speed going. We're at 145, 75% torque, 145 knots. That'll actually slowly creep up as we're here at the 3,000 foot mark cruising. And again, we are on our way up for a nice little flight. headed up to Honningsvåg, Norway. So that's how you set your cruising stuff, so that you watch your overspeeds and everything. And again, you can see now we've creeped up to 145. We should get up to right around 150. All right, so on the other side of this island is our landing strip. However, it goes right to left in front of us. So we are going to go ahead and disengage our autopilot. It's very easy to do. And we are going to go ahead and start descending. So we are going to bring our throttles back just a touch. Get to around 30%. And we'll start descending. We are going to just about head over our runway here. We're going to make a loop around this bay and then come back in. Throttles just a touch more. We want to get down to around 25%. You can see right down here we've got the runway in front of us. And so we're going to come up in here, make a loop back, and land on the run. So this is going to be an interesting, different sort of landing for you. So we can keep our props in the feather position as we start our descent coming in. We're going to drop back to about 20% throttle. And we are going to head right up to this area and come swing back around and make a landing right underneath us down here. So we're at 4,000 feet. We were at 4,000 feet. We're en route to our way down. We're going to keep an eye on our speed. We're going to keep an eye, which our speed is going to be right over here. We're going to keep an eye on our throttle position. We are going to keep an eye on our prop RPMs, and we are going to keep an eye on our gas turbine temperatures. But we're going to start our drop in, and as we start to get down where we need to be, we'll start to add flaps. As we level out here just a touch as we're approaching 2,800 feet. We're going to start adding flaps in. All right, so at 130 knots, we can add flaps 1. And as you can see by flaps indicators up here, we are at flaps 1. And of course, that brings us a little bit of nose up and drops our speed a little bit more. We'll get out here towards the end of this island and we'll start to make our turn. And a good landing speed for this aircraft is going to be right around between 85 and 90 knots, right in there. That'll get you a nice soft touchdown into a spot. And this has a very short landing capability. So if you start to overrun or anything, you've got room to make mistakes. And we're going to bring our throttles back just a touch more. That'll smooth us out some. And we're going to bring in flaps too. We're going to make our right-hand turn, and we're going to look for the landmass on the right-hand side, which is going to be what we're following in. There's our landmass. We're going to follow that coastline, the island coastline, as we come in and get ready to come down on this runway. This is going to be quite the short approach as we get in, just simply because of the way this runway is set up. But we'll continue our slow descent. We're dropping at about 500 feet per minute, 600 feet right in there. And you'll see our prop speed is maintaining right around 75%. What we're looking for. And up there just slightly to the right of the center post of the windshield is where our runway is. This is runway 26 we're coming in on. We're maintaining rate around 105 knots, which of course we will drop that down just a touch as we get in there. When we add a little bit more flaps, that'll get us right about where we need to be for our landing speed. And we're going to hug this coastline. Which of course you can expect turbulence from wind bouncing around. And again, you got it down here on your map that you can see as well. On your Jeep, on your Garmin. So bringing our descent rate back up just a touch here. You see us dropped our speed to right at 100 knots. And we'll go ahead and add flaps 3. And with flaps 3, we'll probably need to give a little bit more throttle because it'll drop us down to 90. And we're at 85, so we'll do just a little bit more throttle in there. Start making our turn in. And we can see the runway off there in the distance. We'll give a little bit more throttle as we come in. And this is that not straight in landing, so it can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes. And we want to be right around 90 knots, flaps 3, right as we come in for this. And then after we cross the threshold, we're going to go ahead and drop our throttles to idle. And coming down. Speed's a little bit high. We'll bring it back a touch. Now again, This is a great short takeoff and landing aircraft. And we'll roll our throttles back. Bring our flare up. And we have reverse thrusters on this one. And there we go. Doesn't look near as bad as it does. You've got plenty of short runway. You can land on a super short runway on this aircraft. And that's it. That's pretty much a touchdown and landing. Of course, FS Realistic we're using on this, so it made the landing look a little bit worse than it was. And we'll come over here and get to one of our parking spots. And we can see our parking marshalers right there. And it's going to be interesting to try and get into that slot without these wings hitting. But this does turn pretty good. And there's our marshaller. And here we are. We'll set our parking brake. Okay, we will go back up to the top. Okay, we're going to turn off the no smoking, turn off the fasten seat belt. We're going to go ahead and turn off our de-icing. We are going to hit our heater down here. Okay, we're going to disarm our emergency lights. Easy enough. We can roll our condition levers back, our throttles back, and what we do is we just simply take our fuel, got it down, come back up to the top, we turn off our bleed air, we turn off our generators, easy peasy, we turn off the rest of our lights. Okay, there they all go. Everything's good down there. We come back down here. And we simply turn off our fuel boost pumps. And then we turn off our master and our external. That gives us everything turned off. I also turned them off on my Honeycomb. And the airplane is shut down. That is our landing. That is our tutorial today. I hope you guys learned something out of this. Super easy to fly this bird. It's nice for these short hops with these short runways. Fantastic, like in the virtual airline that I'm in. We haul cargo and stuff. So back in the back here, we have a lot of cargo, a lot more cargo room than say a Cessna 208 or something of those. So it makes it a whole lot easier for us to be able to do that kind of stuff and be able to haul a little bit more cargo. That's it. I'm Big Rob with Infinity Airways.